Hi, friends. We've been thinking about different pathways to knowing and experiencing God. So far, we've thought about the pathways of activism and contemplation. Today, I want to think about the pathways of service and worship. If you are a person who experiences God primarily through the service pathway, you find that God's presence is most tangible when you are involved with helping others. You feel closest to God when you are doing something to help someone else. When you're at a function or an event, do you feel a little uncomfortable if you don't have a job to do or a role to play? But if you have something to do, set up chairs, make coffee, help decorate, anything, then you feel a sense of purpose and that God is pleased with you. If that's true, then maybe you're a service person. If you are a service person, you find that you grow in your faith and you sense God's call on your life most naturally while you're helping someone else or doing something meaningful or productive. You find God in the people you serve. Now, there are a couple of pitfalls to avoid if you are a service person. One is the belief that your service earns God's love. Remember, God's love is unmerited. It's a free gift offered to us not because of what we do, but because of who we are. Before we are God's servants, we are God's children. And God loves us because we are His and because it's in God's nature to love. Another danger for servers is the temptation to resent others who aren't working as hard or as much as they are. If you are a server, you may feel like telling the intellectual type, "Get your nose out of that book and come help me." Or you may feel like saying to the relational type, "Stop talking and get to work." So you have to be able to remember that people are more important than work. Now, let's switch gears and think about the pathway of worship. Worship people love worship services, and especially the music. When praise and adoration are given voice, they feel closest to God. If you connect with God primarily through worship, somehow in the midst of the gathered community, united in singing and praise and prayer, your heart opens up and you come alive. You sometimes find yourself in tears and sometimes in moments of deep joy because God seems so close during times of worship. Now, a couple of things to guard against if you are a worship person. One is not to judge people who might not be as outwardly expressive as you are. Just because nothing is happening on the outside doesn't mean that nothing is happening on the inside. Another thing to guard against is a spirituality that is based only on emotion. Emotions can be easily swayed or manipulated, and so we have to be careful that our experience of God is based on God and not on our emotions. Music, for example, is a great gift of worship. But because music affects our emotions so powerfully, we can grow dependent on music to produce a certain emotional response. We have to be careful to remember that our worship is not based on the beauty of music, but on the beauty of God. Worship and service are just two examples of how you might come to know and experience God. Although these two experiences are quite different, they are not mutually exclusive. And in fact, they are intended to work together. And we'll talk more about that tomorrow. Thanks for listening. I'll see you again tomorrow.